Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Dinah Santi from GIMPA, the current fundraising consultant for the GIMPA Endowment. We began this journey sort of different what's how how we use that platform to impact how we collectively work also silos. It's about time tap into our strengths with organizations that had shared values. Because for GIMPA, we are conveners. That's what we do. We bring all these decision makers, policy makers, change agents together to have a conversation. Because in the past, what we did was capacity building. We've trained 90% of the civil servants in this country. And in order to have and ensure leadership excellence, it was important to bring all these experts together, share their stories, learn from them, and see how we can collectively build towards sustainability practices, towards social change. So that's what the GIMPA Art and Culture Exhibition is about. The theme is we are looking at where dreams, resilience, and sustainability intersect. We think that in the face of triumph or opportunity, that's where any human being sort of gets transformed. And based on those experiences, you're able to use that towards that positive impact that we make. So we've been doing different things, different panel discussions, mental health. We have the tech and the sciences come together. We have the creative arts come together. And today we're looking at legacy businesses. And the theme is beginning of dreams. Educators sort of influence children when they are exploring their own dreams. When we think we need to celebrate the institutions that have been in the system for a long time. And we are honored to have Martin DePolis and Peter here. Mr. Last, you and I have been engaging for a while now, trying to put this team together. And so I think it is only appropriate to give us the opening prayer before we start the conversation, if it's okay. Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Last. Then, Reverend, of course, yes, it is only fair that we give it to the messenger of God. So, Reverend, would you
But anybody,
give us the opening prayer before we start the conversation?
okay, let's pray. Our Lord and our God, praise, we give you thanks, we give you honor, bringing us here today. We're not here by mistake, we're not here by accident, but we are here by your divine providence. We thank you for the gathering of everybody here. Discuss legacy that you have given us. We say we thank you. We thank you for the people that put on the program. Lord, let this be not just the first, but let it be ongoing, that others may learn by our experiences. We say we thank you. We bless your name. In Jesus' name.
Thank you so much. I would like to start with you to tell your own story for Martin DePolis. Then we would move on to Reverend Ajipon, Mrs. Ajipon, who is online. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you. When that's so, yes, I've been assigned uh, the beginning of dreams.
Hello, the sound has gone. Hello?
My dream of building an excellent institution to nurture both mind and body of children began years ago when I was in my 20s. In my founding of St. Martin de Porres School, when Dansoman community was just beginning to establish. When the school opened in 1973, there were 17 students and one building. Now, the school has over 1,000 children on the original compound and about 500 children at the West Hills campus, added in 2019. That means we have 2 campuses now. The school engages creativity of both children and staff by exposing them to diverse cultures and ideas while maintaining our basic values. Over the last 51 years, I have built a legacy of excellent
Recording in progress.
not only through the thousands of students that pass through my hands, but also through my own biological children and grandchildren. And so, incidentally, I'm not retired. I am under new management. Thank you.
Reverend Ajipon, thank you so much for coming. I
Thank you for
know
inviting me.
you and your wife began Alpha Betas. It will be interesting to also hear from you as founders of the school. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we were in the UK and we came or relocated back to Ghana in 1986. We started Alpha Beta Montessori Learning Center in 1988. That's where we started with 6 children under the carport, because that's where that's the space that was available at the time. We're trying to put up a building, but it wasn't completed. So we were encouraged to start with what we have. In fact, the story is more interesting. It's a cousin of ours who came one day. He knew we were going to start the school. And he said, but when are you starting? Because it was getting for September and the buildings were still not complete. And he said, no. He said, what are you doing? You have enough here to start. And he made a comment that, no, you have to start right now. And he went to a piece of plywood and some charcoal. and you wrote on it admission in progress and put it outside. To force us to start. We made a comment. I said, oh, for some too much. You want everything perfect. That is, we want everything to be in line and in place. But, the lesson it taught us is that you have to start where you are. So that's how we started with the 6 children, with my wife, Florence. She was Montessori trained anyway. Apart from being a trained teacher, she was Montessori trained. And the vision at the time was to have a small nursery with no more than about 50 children in it. That was the original vision. She was going to be very happy just dealing with the 50 children. So, 6 became 10, and then 20, and then 50, surpassed 50, went to 100, 120. Obviously, then the place was getting too small. And besides that, because of the system of Montessori that we were using, the children were able, they came in at 2.5 and they left at 5. They were able to read, they could write, they could do basic arithmetic. And so when they left Alpha Beta Montessori Learning Center and went to other people's kindergartens, they were going backwards because they could already do what the stuff that the kindergartens were going to now teach them. And so there was pressure from the parents that if you've given our children a head start, why don't you just carry on? That was not the original vision. Yes, it was an evolving dream. And so what happened was, now, when you take that step, now you have to, from KG to, well, we only had up to class 3 or nursery 3. Now you have to have from KG is a very, very big step, because you are not just going to be from KG, you have to be from KG to JHS, which is a very, very big jump. That is, you needed the land and all the money that goes to be able to do that kind of operation. But I believe that God had a plan, and we found some land. It wasn't easy, but I believe that God had the place for us right in the middle of the high school. I always say that since God said let there be light or land, He hasn't made any more land. The land is there. So I believe that place there was meeting for us to have it. So anyway, we got the land. After we got the land, then obviously you need finances to be able to do it. One way or the other, we managed to start. And the trick was to keep a year ahead of the coming class. So 1 year, we had a KG, I think we built classrooms, 3 classrooms, and an office, the first block. And then year on year, we had to just keep adding classrooms to keep ahead of the next year coming. And we were able to do that. And in fact, the plan was, we're looking for some big money from somewhere to build it. We are still waiting for the big money. But the Lord just did it in His own way. And I believe that He gives us the plan a bit at a time. He just reveals enough for you to be going. Because I would not have believed that we could get where we are, where now we take students from 18 months and let them go at 18 years. So, we have the nursery and then the whole primary section. We were doing JHS, but we now gone fully international, whereby we take them all the way through, they do their IGCSEs and they do their A levels. And God has brought us a long way. And our motto is persevere to excellence. And that excellence is what we have been striving for all the way. Excellence in everything that we do, not just with the students. You know, we help the teachers, we help the parents to persevere to excellence. So that, because our God is a God of excellence. And we are supposed to also be excellent in all that we do. So, you know, we've won so many awards and things, but we give the glory to God for how far He has brought us. And last year we did
The program.
35th anniversary. So this year we're 36 years old. But our leaders are ahead of us. 51. We are following. So, and I agree with it.
The time is not.
Also, Amanta. My wife is also Florence, so she's also my wife.
Yeah, why?
Senior wife. And yes, and and we happen by coincidence to be neighbors. By some strange coincidence, we live in the same place.
That's wonderful.
We have been close family friends for a very long time. Since we came to Ghana, we relocated back from the UK. And obviously, we haven't looked back because the work is ongoing. So after 35 years, yes, there was a change of management. Change of management. That is, our daughter, Dr. Naomi, took over as the school director. So even though we are still there as directors, she is spearheading the new vision. And there has been many new visions over that period. Okay. So we'll carry on.
All right, thank you so much. Mrs. Ajapon, are you online? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. The sound keeps going and coming, but I'll try. As Reverend Sammy said, our daughter has taken over now, but what I wanted to say was that the vision is never static. For example, the vision that we came with in 86 was the 1986 vision. Now the vision has to grow. The vision has to progress. So now that Naomi has come with her vision, if you like, her vision is a 20, 24, 25, 26 vision, which we need, you know. God actually does not give you the vision at a go, because if he did, we would run away and say, no, God, it's too much for us, we can't do it. So he gave us the vision in pieces, and we were able to work with it like that. It was manageable. It was a challenge, but it was manageable. So now we have, if you like, the next generation's vision, which so far has been an extremely progressive vision, which has pushed our school into the 21st, 22nd century, if you like. It keeps going, it keeps growing. And we're so proud of the fact that Dr. Naomi has managed to add and to evolve the school. And her work is quite amazing. So it's good that we have a successor, a progressive successor, who has been able to push the school forward and make the vision a progressive one.
Thank you.
Um,
Mrs. Ajapon,
Another
we
thing
would love
I wanted
see
to
your
say.
face. I'm sure
Hello.
those who join online would like to see the incredible woman behind Alpha Betas. We saw you in a flash, but we can't see you at this moment. If you can turn on your camera, please.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, Mrs. Ajapon.
Oh,
To see your face.
Your camera is off.
okay. Is that
Thank you
better?
so much. That's
Okay.
wonderful. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. So it's for the 36 years that we've been going, it has consistently been an act of faith. I always say when we were living in the UK, we didn't really have to live by faith. But when you come to Ghana, you have to live by faith. That's the only way to live in Ghana is by faith. And we just give God all the praise and all the glory, because not only did we learn to live by faith, but God never disappointed us. We went through some terrible challenges, really, really terrible challenges. But God held our hand all the way through the 36 years of challenge, and we give him all the glory.
Amen. Thank
Amen.
you so much. So, Mrs. Last, the last time we spoke, you were talking about the impact you've had on other schools. We spoke about St. Teresa's, we spoke about St. Benedict, we spoke about Christ the King, and there was another, Bishop Bowers. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're connected to all of these schools? Thank you.
In 1962, my late husband and I were relocated from Brangaham to Accra. When we got there, Sister Pansera, who had then already started Christ the King, started Christ the King, was busily preparing to start St. Teresa's School. That was the time that we arrived. And so I was connected to Sister Pansetta that way, and at that time. It happened that I went to register my children at the school. And then she said, but I've heard of you. You already was a head of school at Shinyani Brangahafo. And how come that you come here and you want to bring your children here, and what are you going to do? And then I said, well, I had been posted somewhere else to teach. And so I can't take the children. That's why I brought them. And he said, I will do everything to get you to join me to do this work. And surely he did. We started fighting with the Anglican Education Unit because I was trained by them and they weren't ready to release me. So she went as far as going to talk to the Ministry of Education. Then Dovina Hammond, Mr. Dovina Hammond, who also had worked with me earlier at Uniba, all in education. And so he said, well, I know this lady very well, and I would also like her to come help you at this school. So that's how we connected. And so I happened to be Mr. Fancetta's assistant at the school. When we were there, we realized that we had a lot of children coming from Kolobi to Kanishi, and a big bus was bringing them. Anyway, one of the parents gave us a hint that there was a plot of land vacant somewhere, and if we would like to take the opportunity to use that land. So with that, we started chasing the land. But Mr. Pastor and the Catholic Church started working towards that. Eventually, the land was got. And a second school coming from St. Teresa's was created there, and that became Bishop Bowers. Yeah. So the same nun who started Christ the King also started St. Teresa. And from that, we got Bishop Barris. Now, then later on, when just the year after I've left St. Teresa's and started Martin de Porres School, St. Teresa nun informed me that they've also got plots at Dansuma, very close to my school, Martin de Porres School. So we were so happy, and I told her that, well, one person can't take all the students in this big community. So I was so happy that they were also coming. So I was there when we started building. I gave all the little assistance that I could to help by letting them use some of the water. At that time, water was very, very scarce there. So I had some tanks, water tanks. And so I gave that to them. I gave some other logistics that were needed for the building, for the work. Because I told you that we were all in the same boat. And I was even happy that I could be of help to them. And well, this is why I'm connected with St. Teresa's and Shafari and St. Benedict.
Japan. It's been 35 years. Yes, the 90-year-old woman has so much wisdom and stories to tell. Thank you so much.
Why did you
Reverend,
do that? She's 91.
oh, she's 90, sorry, 91, but she looks, young, like 45, So I'm going to be like, you 91, if I'm looking like that, that would be wonderful. But Reverend Ajapon, it's been 35 years. As you can see,
36.
36. Sorry about that. So Mrs. Last, with her vision, was able to sort of collaborate with other schools who have the same shared value in those same communities. Has that been the same for you throughout your journey? And this question is for Reverend and also Mrs. Ajapon.
Well, let her come through.
Okay, Mrs. Ajapon, are you online?
Sorry, the sound isn't too good. Please repeat the question again, please.
I was asking, as we heard from Mrs. Last, that she was able to collaborate with other key stakeholders to develop the schools for St. Teresa's, St. Bernadette, Bishop Bowers. Has that been the same experience for you? It's been 36 years. Who are you collaborating with in your communities?
Well, what we were able to do, and it involved Mrs. Last and St. Martin de Porres, we set up an association called FERD, Foundation for Education, Research and Development. And it had in its schools like St. Martin de Porres, Northridge Lyceum, Morning Star School. In fact, there are about 13, top schools in Ghana in that association. And we worked together for many years, and we were able to help one another and share best practices, train our teachers and so forth. And then also during COVID, I was able to set up the ASICS, the Association for International Certification Schools, which has at the moment 44 member schools who are doing the international curricula. So we are used to helping and supporting one another. COVID was a dreadful time for most private schools. And so it was quite amazing that we were all able to get together, 44 schools, to support one another during the most difficult times. And we are still together now. So there is that sense of community and fellowship with like-minded schools, and we can help one another, we can advocate for one another. We have meetings with the government departments when we think that we're not being fairly treated and so forth. So we've been able to sustain that togetherness, if you like, that help and support for one another, which is good. It's very good.
Very, very good. I'll be moving on to the next generation, the future of Martin DePorres and Alpha Beta. But before we do that, I wanted us to listen to another founder who has a legacy business. And I will be asking those follow-up questions with the next generation. Can you play that video, please? So we'll get back to that. For the next generation, you've heard from your parents how their vision began. It's your time. How are you honoring the legacy at the same time, taking those schools to the next level? Mr. Last, I will start with you, please.
I thought I was going to be the last one to speak. But thanks for the opportunity. For the type of work that our parents have put in, it is imperative that we also take just as much passion in what they've done and move it forward. As Mr. Japon said, you know, a lot has gone into it. What they told you is just a tip of the iceberg. Most of us were there when the schools started, and we know the struggles that went into the school. I was a teenager carrying sand and stones, and I didn't know that what we were building, several decades later, I'll be the one running. I had no clue. But as God has it, I was picked to follow Mom. And when I came in 2012, everybody kept telling me that, man, you have big shoes to fill. I said, well, I don't wear high heels, so I can't take off shoes. I'll go on my own. I brought my own shoes. But basically, you build from where you came to meet. Technology has come so far, and the world just evolves. And if you don't evolve with it, you get left behind. So what we do now is I have been blessed with siblings that are just as interested in the school. Even though they may not be all into education, we all grew up under educators. My dad was an educator. My mom's an educator. My dad was a school inspector. So we grew up knowing how schools are supposed to be run. I have a sister with us now, Lena, that is also an educator, over 30-something years of working in the New York school system. So I can pick her brain when I need to. I have another sister sitting right next to me. She's a medical doctor. My brother is also a medical doctor, but all of them actually are educators too. So we sit, discuss things, and Mom listens to us. If it makes sense, we all vote on it and we move. If it doesn't make sense, she'll tell us. I've done that before. It didn't work. And then sometimes we would have to say, yeah, that was then, now it's now. And once we can let her see the vision, which she's very quick. If you tell something, you go, oh, well, then why don't you do it this way? Why don't you do it that way? Just recently, we got a school in fact, the university, United States, they send their kids every year to Africa to visit different countries and get a feel for what Africa's about. Ghana is their top pick. And when they come, they spend 10 days here in Ghana, and some of the time they spend at Martin Forest. During that time, a couple years ago, Apple Computers and Tennessee State University decided that they wanted to help put up a ICT center. We already had an ICT center, but they wanted to move it into the new AI type idea. So I spoke to my mom, spoke to my sisters and my brother about it. And we decided, yes, we'll take them up on it. So my mom came up with a beautiful name, Wonsum Center. You know, it's where everybody put in a little bit of everything. And they loved it. They can never pronounce it right. But that's how Wonsum Center came. And it's designed to help the community, not just the school, but the community. Anybody who wants to learn online, especially those who want to go abroad but cannot afford to go abroad. Once you get registered in any of the HBCU, that HBCU is a university, a predominantly Black university in the United States. If you register with them, you have your ID and all that. You can come to the center and take your classes. So you do that, and when it's time for graduation, it's easier for you to get a visa just for graduation. But it saves them a lot of money because now you don't need to go and find accommodation and airfare and all those other stuff. So that's part of the little things that we do to move the school forward. I've been blessed again. Now my sister is retired, so I didn't even have to co-opt her. She decided to come help us, and she's been a science teacher all this time. Strangely enough, when she said, "Well, I want to come and help," I said, "Gladly." My co-workers at school go, "Well, your sister's blind. How's she going to do that?" I said, "The blind person has all kinds of awards in science and art. So you all will learn a lot from her." Well, she started about 3-4 years ago. She'd come during the summer and train some of our teachers. Now they're all excited to have her here. So, that is part of moving the school forward.
Thank you, Madam Grace. What's your perspective coming on board as the next generation to sort of help move Martin DePorres forward?
As our younger brother said, we all over the years had been involved, but calling in, because honestly, when I think back at it, all of us were gone. So from when the school started in 73, like he said, he was a teenager helping to move things. I had finished Form 5 and was waiting for my results, for A-level at that time. So I was the one who held the scissors to cut the ribbon and all this stuff. But then I was gone. So all of us, now when we think back, we realize that for about 40 years, she built that school. It was easy for us to call and say, "Oh, okay, mommy is doing such and such and blah, blah, blah." But it's amazing that the reputation of the school has remained very high because she's no nonsense. And her legacy really stretches into just the remarkable graduates that she's had. So she comes to visit me in Philadelphia and DC, and guess what? People recognize her. we went to a place on 51st Street, and I hear somebody go, "Mrs. Last." I'm like, "How come they know you?" But in terms of us participating in the school activities, Payne has been remarkable because she's blind. Okay. And there's a plug actually for screening glaucoma in young people in Ghana, but that's another story. But she managed to have such creative ways to teach science. The last 3 weeks I've been with her in several of the classes, and those kids are so excited now to come to science class. I mean, they were already because the teachers are good, but she brings another level to it. And last year, she and I ran a science a STEAM thing. So it was combining science, art, math, because that's the new direction for GES, right? When they talk about it, but honestly, we've been doing that. And we really kind of put it together and made the art teachers talk to the math teachers and come out with all kinds of exciting skits. So that was lovely. And it seems like all of us, including my mother and her art. So really, she teaches a lot of science through arts, and I'm sure she can elaborate on that. But that has been how we have participated. And when Willie said about Wilson, I was laughing because it took all of us like 3 weeks trying to figure out the names and brought up all these different names and logos. None of that worked. And all of us, and Mom said, "Oh, how about Wilson?" I was like, "Yeah, that makes sense." So it's been interesting and exciting to participate, even if we're not technically teachers, but we're all teachers in a different way.
Thank you so much, Madam Mina. You are a trailblazer, a pace setter, I'm sure an advocate for persons with disability. And I think you are a living testament to the fact that anybody can do anything they aspire to do if you have a great support system, if you believe in yourself and you have dreams. So how has your experience, your knowledge, your experience impacted Martin DePorres? How has it made it so innovative? Because you are sort of in a unique position to bring ideas that we would not normally think about.
So I did things different from what everybody did, even when I was sighted. You know, I tell people I sold oranges, I sold Gary. I traveled all over the place, got into so much trouble for doing so many things that wasn't expected of me. But all those things I did fortified me before I got blind. I got blind in New York. But for some funny reason, I never thought I was blind. I still don't think I'm blind, you know, yes. You know, and I went through school as a blind person in New York, finished and taught for 35 years in New York City school system. I taught sighted kids. My major was science education, but of course there you add math to it. So from the beginning, I was a science math teacher for 10 years. Then I got to be the head of the science department in New York. So I stayed as a science teacher. So I just retired 2-3 months ago. But before that, my passion was art. I had nothing to do with science, nothing. So when I got blind, the best way that I thought I could teach was to teach through what I knew, which was art. So I've been teaching science through art all these years. It calls for innovation. It calls for wittiness, and it calls for creativity, not only through me, but through the kids. It also calls for listening to the kids around you, to your co-workers, to people around you in general, because you learn a lot and you bring what you learn to the classroom. When my brother came down to take over the school, I decided I would come every year to help him. Because, I had the educational background. He had the business background. So I started coming to Ghana every year during the summer to teach. So I'll leave New York the night after school is closed, and I'll get back to New York maybe 2 days before school opens. So all my summers were spent here. But it taught me how to teach in Ghana. It taught me to understand the way Ghana works in education, and also to bring what I knew here. I've been quite happy with working here. I enjoy working with the kids here, and we like sharing our ideas. And I'm looking forward to the next probably 30 years.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yes, I teach. If I taught there for 30 years, I would teach here for 30 years, God willing. But it's a matter of collaborating with my siblings because they are my generation. Of course, mom is our head. So like my sister said, we always go back to her to confirm what we're thinking also. But I look forward to bringing new ideas, new methods of teaching into the Ghana system.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kweku, you're a medical practitioner and an educator as well, because you're part of the siblings that's moving Martin Porras forward. Do you find that that sort of translate into your engagement with families and children when they sort of come to you? Are you, like teaching on the go? Because you have families that are coming to you for whatever ailments they have, but you find yourself sort of engaging them on, good education, good schools and stuff like that.
Yeah, as my siblings have said, we all grew up in education, and I'm the firstborn. So, there's that popular saying by parents, if the firstborn doesn't go right, the rest wouldn't go right. So, being abroad, I wasn't there with my family. So going to school, I was basically on my own. But I realized that it's the principles that we grew up at home that helped me get to where I wanted to get to in the US. And the first real symbol of what the school was becoming was actually when I was in Baltimore. I was a resident at Johns Hopkins, and I was asked to go provide a consultation at another hospital. And 3 Ghanaians came to me. Oh, we see you're Dr. Lass. Like my sister said, they go, do you know Mrs. Lass? And it didn't mean my wife. I said, yeah. I said, oh, we're Martin de Porres graduates. That's the first time it dawned on me how long the school has been around, where the graduates from there who've gone through medical school. What are the chances that you find 3 in one hospital in Baltimore? Okay. I said, wow, but what's mom doing? But I'm a rehab physician and I have to teach a lot. People about their disabilities, give them hope, teach them how to live with whatever their disability is. Okay. So yes, that background truly has helped. In fact, I was sharing with my family yesterday that at one of the hospitals I consult with here, there's a new medical student who you can see is going through what all of us docs have gone through, the training. And so I asked him a few questions, not knowing the other doctors around were listening. And then I showed him some ways to survive. one of the senior doctors, yeah, that's Dr. Lance. You always will ask him a question. So you're right. That background has helped. But in terms of legacy and how we do things here, like my siblings, when I was in the US, I used to come in and I go to the school. I spent a little bit of time with the board when my mother was away. The assumption was you're the firstborn, so of course they're coming to take over the school. I said, that's not how it works. I have siblings who have experience in this, in education. I'm a physician. You know, early physicians were known as educators anyway. I'm here to do my part to advance the school. But just because I'm firstborn doesn't mean I'm the one taking over the school. Because this is an important, because there are a lot of businesses that run into that problem, where somebody with no expertise in it, but because of birth rank, dad is no longer there, a mom is no longer. And that's why we do it. My brother was there when the school was started. I wasn't. I left the year before. But he and the rest know that I'm still a resource. So we discuss things and ways I can contribute. I do, but I don't come in and I stay in my lane. Okay? I stay in my lane, but I also draw inspiration from them. You know, and when I have to go there and give a talk, I do that. When there are issues to be discussed by the school, we do that around the dinner table or elsewhere. But I don't impose. And it's a very important point, because sometimes if you're not careful and you listen to those around, it can create friction in families. And we've seen it, and some institutions fail because of that. I think we're all duly aware that we're all one family. We all have our role. You know, each role is leadership doesn't necessarily mean. So you're right. Part of that background helps me. So yeah, what I was have. But at the same time, in terms of the school itself, okay, I'm in support.
Thank you so much. We'll be pausing here to watch a video on one of the legacy businesses. This will sort of segue into your impact in the communities in which you operate. So if the video is ready, we'll play it now.
I mean, Grace, brother, Edison, started Jumano 1979. Grand maybe a school, you know. Maybe a Jumaka cry. A children, Grand me worry, no. Now, Master, our village, the Edu Saturdays. At times, so I'm going to class. They do. Every week and 2 weeks time no na ebi abre nti na egua me fa exam dia ye nisimi nim total int di be bi me course yes na if you home no ebi ntem so say aduani ye fine nti say we bi a ye beto na me start kakla me si me nti me start kakla nti na me chiwa me ye nti say pancake no me chi no frying pan mu baako na me chi an ti kakla na me fe me mo say water de no nti me ko ye frying pan kitu e bi na me chi no kakla e fe me na mo say ma bre na me sisa da me jama me ba no so free school no okoye adwuma kakla na me so e say me ko tena senjuma ho enti on measure ha na me nkotena fi starting no me mama ene me na won adwuma wo ye enti bra me ko school no me ba na ma beboa wo anopa me boa wo no wo ye bibia yesu kokko ya ade na me yi nua ni na akọ wo ye enti me simple school ba na ma be kakra ensana miss Janet no sa ne ye no me train mo me wo yen kola no me ye na no wo hwe me ye na no wo hwe nti otumi yɛ nsɛnea meyɛ no no a Adabraka Methodist School behind Cathedral Western Avenue ɛwɔ ne yɛwɔ nti obiara ɔpɛ sɛ ɔbɛtɔ bi no bɛtumi abɛtɔ bi sisi a megya ama me ba no customers na wɔba no mepa wɔn nkyɛn wɔnkɔ so amra wɔn bɛtɔ ma me ba no sɛnea bia mea mewɔ hɔ nom nti mede obi nkra Kumasi beebiara obiara wɔ no wobɛtumi aba na wabɛtɔ bi wobɛnya nti sɛ mea mewɔ hɔ no
yɛfrɛ me Harriet Hilda Nkansa me maame ne Auntie Grace a ɔyɛ Grace Tatale Grace Special Tatale wɔ Akwaka menyi tama menyi yɛ nyinaa mekɔ school yɛma kwan anaasɛ those were the days of the shift morning shift no I help it before I go to school after school I will pass by for us to continue working before we finally go home to sleep. During my SS2, I did the same thing. After SS to the university, I was working there. And I'm 4 years in Accra for 17 years with international needs. And then as time went on, when she grew old, she asked me to come and take over the business. It was a big challenge for me. I knew I had to come. So I came and took over from her. And it's been good. I've been able to maintain the customers. Because if you see on Senya now, you didn't send your name and you treat your own now, you always come back. The same thing. It's any time like she said earlier. Or what to find out to do or what? On coffee right from the airport now. Or back in KC. And someone or points both they are introducing online selling. They are registered with both on your hotel and also we used to be on Global until Global left the country. The business name Grace Special Tatale on Capital and then Match Grapefruits on both ends. And then you can just call in and then order and then we deliver to the destination. Number is 0558 307047 or 0277 187769. The second one is my mom's number. She is still part of the business. So when you call, she picks and then forwards the order to us and we deliver to wherever. The Arabia is part of it. And other segments they come around. Almost always be with the almost back.
So won't say you man what to me no one's worthy but one bra Tina Mema had that be some penny no money bra say me per se on no year no one to say ya me boy non to ya could do bra on timia on to hand him obi
Former didn't say the soft life send the many send a bear can be no I been here to me a supply amount because me per se within the next 10 years certainly have worked be on every menu of traditional dishes at all programs, weddings and every ceremony when they are talking about local dishes, not the normal ones you see, there will be totally and avoid as part of it.
Okay. So thank you. We're back. I think we're going to go to Naomi, who has now taken over as the director for Alpha Beta, to hear her own perspective on the transition, on how she's honoring the legacy from her parents and how she's sort of moving it forward. Naomi, are you online?
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right, awesome. So hi, I as I think has already been mentioned, I've actually worked at Alpha Beta for the last 13 years, maybe since 2011. So it's been quite a journey, just, living through the legacy, I guess, for quite a while before taking over from my parents when they retired 2 years ago. And it's been a really interesting experience just trying to merge, the old vision with trying to stay current and trying to make sure that our students are leaving us with the values and the skills that they need for the current age. And it's yielded very good results. I mean, Alpha Beta is 36 years old. It's always it's had a long history of producing graduates who are global agents of change. And what we've had to do over the last few years is just to really look at some of the methods that we're using to be able to achieve that and make sure that they're learning more relevant skills and getting more relevant experience and exposure, which will set them up for success both now and. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I think there's some echoes. You might have
I think
multiple
somebody's joined
devices
online
on.
and they have their, if you're online, could you please put everything on mute? Except the speaker, please. Thank you so much. Naomi, please go ahead. Hello? Naomi, could you please unmute? All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
I think that's a little bit better. All right, so I don't know if were there specifics that you wanted me to answer regarding, what we're doing now, or you just wanted
Well,
an
I could
overview?
start from the video I saw at
Okay.
the reception of your school. I saw that, the younger kids were learning how to iron. I saw a female student, looking into the hood of a car. I was excited, you're making all these changes. What I do not know is whether you are now doing it or that began 35 years ago. Are these new?
Okay, so one of the things that's new is the Edinburgh Leadership Program that we run at our school. We've been running that for the last 10 years. And really, we designed that program as a program to complement what we're doing academically, because we are passionate about making sure that our young leaders leave us not just with academic grades, but also with soft skills that they need to be able to impact Ghana and Africa. So for us, our vision is to raise leaders who will be part of the solution to Africa's developmental challenges. So over the last 10 years, we've just tried to identify what young people need to be able to do that, to be able to lead change and to be able to change the African story to a more positive one. And so everything that we do for the students of all ages, was the Edinburgh Leadership Program runs primarily for our secondary school students, so from grade 7 to grade 13. It's a very practical program that complements our academic programs. At Alpha Beta, we run the international programs. So we run the British National Curriculum all the way from preschool to sixth form. But the Edinburgh Leadership Program complements that. So for example, in the Edinburgh Leadership Program, students are required to do internships. They're required to do community service. They get individual success plans. So they are mentored based on their passions, their interests, their skills, what their parents want them to do. We make sure that the students are leading on campus. So they'll have they'll have opportunities to work on campus, they'll have opportunities to hold various different leadership positions, because we believe that a lot of the experience comes from, a lot of skills are built through experience. So a lot of what we do is through experiential learning. There are workshops, there are weekly classes, leadership classes, and we have guest speakers that come in. So there's no, right or wrong answer. I always tell the team there's no right or wrong answer. It's about what you can do to make sure that the students are getting exposure, because it's through the exposure that they build up the skills. So whether it's trips, both local trips, international trips, local international competitions, but any opportunity that we see, we come across, and we believe that it will help the students to gain the skills, the values that they need to be able to lead themselves, and lead, their families, lead their communities, and really lead Africa forward. We're for all of those things. So I hope that gives a snapshot. And that's been, like I said, over the last 10 years. And it continues to evolve because the world is evolving. So more recently, we've also adopted a STEM aspect of the Edinburgh Leadership Program, because we really want our students to be able to build from scratch solutions for some of the biggest challenges that we have on the continent. And so that's, something else that we've had to add in, and really try and make sure that our students are staying abreast with the world. In Ghana, where sometimes it can feel like we're quite far behind, but we have to keep making the effort to make sure that our students can compete both locally and internationally as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The STEM project. Oh, okay. Now, Reverend was saying I should ask you about the STEM project for the girls. Oh, girls empowerment. Yes, we would like to hear about that. No offense to the men in this room, but we all know the girls rock. So yes, Naomi, please go ahead.
So the STEM, I mentioned we have a STEM aspect for the Edinburgh Leadership Program, but for the STEM Champions Program for girls is actually a social impact program that we launched last year. And so we've been working with young girls in JHS in the community that we're in Dansuma. And we had the first cohort graduate this year. There were 25 girls, and they went through a 10-week STEM immersion program. So it's after school every week for 10 weeks. It started off with a leadership camp as well. And it had incredible results. A lot of the young ladies who came, left the program so much more confident, about their self-confidence improved, but also they were exposed to a lot of things around STEM. And also the whole idea was really to try and inspire more young people to go into STEM related careers, because in Africa, we believe that we need more of that. So that's the program. We're about to start a new cohort. We're still trying to raise funding for the next cohort. The first cohort was just from one school, but for the next cohort, we wanted to do 40 girls, and we want to mix them from different schools as well. We're excited about that.
Okay. So what's the plan, the evolution of dreams for them? I'm sure this training is towards something, leadership excellence, because they are the future leaders of tomorrow, both male and female. So for these leadership, innovation, and investments that you're making for these girls, what's the plan, the future plan, when they're done with the program?
So obviously the program is 10 weeks because it has to be sustainable, and we want to impact as many people as possible. But the plan is to actually try and track them as far as possible to see what impact, over the next 5-10 years this goes on to make in their trajectory. So this is not the first time we're doing work with some of the local schools. We have done a lot of work in the past, and sometimes something very small like this can change somebody's entire trajectory, how they see themselves, how they see their mission in life, how they see, what they will be able to achieve. We've had some great, we even have, so there's from a previous project that we worked on, there's actually somebody who currently works in Alpha Beta, who started off on one of our leadership programs about 10 years ago, and has gone on, he was the first person in his family to go on to secondary and to university. And he's currently working at Alpha Beta. So that's one success story, but it just goes to show that, sometimes little interventions can make a huge difference to someone's, not just their life, but their life for the entire family and the entire community as well.
Thank you. talking about foundation and impact. I saw this at Martin DePorres. Think before you speak, think. T for is it true? H for is it helpful? I for is it inspiring? N for is it necessary? And then K for is it kind? For Martin DePorres, this goes to the founder and also the children. Has this been the foundation upon which you sort of build the children's investment? Because you know we're being bombarded with fake news all the time. So how will the youth of tomorrow look at information? How will they engage each other? How will they respect each other, be kind to each other? Is this part of your life skills, things that, are not academia? Is it the kind of investment you're making in their lives? So when they become leaders, or when they become parents or workers or community leaders, anywhere they find themselves, will they be applying this kind of foundation that you're using at your school? And this is for all of you, so anybody can answer.
When it comes to personal development, it's not something that you just live, maybe just have a little program for it. It's something that you have to live every single day. So every day we encourage the staff, especially, to always think about these things, because as the staff does, the children will follow. We have a lot of programs that we do that would encourage things. For example, we have Martin Porres Day. Martin Porres is a saint, a black saint. My parents intentionally picked a black saint because most of your schools, when they were helping the Catholic schools, almost those saints are white. So people don't see themselves there. So they decided to pick a black saint. And this particular saint came from Peru. And he is known to be, to have a passion for the underprivileged. So for our school, what we do is you always have to think about people around you. What can you do to help your neighbor? So we reach out to a lot of underprivileged schools, not only in Dalsoman, but all across Ghana. We donate old furniture, we donate books, we donate whatever that we can to underprivileged schools and organizations. We have a story where my sister traveled, as blind as she is, loves to travel. She and my sister Silu are traveling ambassadors. They went to Nzulezu in the West. And whilst they were there, they ran across a school on the water that didn't have much. And they volunteered my services without me knowing. And so I get a call and they said, your sister says you can help us. And I said, well, how do you want me to help you? So in any way, I said, that's Ghana for you. Anything. So do I just send you a piece of paper? So they laughed, and I ended up sending them furniture, enough furniture for 3 classrooms. And it just happened to be at the time where we were changing our furniture to something a little bit more nicer, So they got that, they got books from us, they got old PE kits that we are not using. And not only them, but there was a school in the Eastern region, they got some. There's 2 schools in Dansuman that also got some. So these are outreach programs that we do. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, about a year after, a parent called me on a weekend and he goes, Mr. Last, my son says he saw his furniture at Inzulezu. How's that possible? I said, yeah, we donated things there. But how does he know it is his furniture? He says, well, I asked him the same thing. He went and turned the desk over and his name was on it. I said, wow, what a coincidence. So I said, well, that's what the school does. We don't always go around advertising these things because once you do, you get bombarded. And even the ones in Dansuman, once we gave things out, now I get calls from all over, everybody wanting something, and you can only do but so much. But we encourage the kids to sometimes go there, especially at Dansuman. When we go to donate something, it's our kids that take it there. And then they hand it over to other kids from underprivileged homes. Unfortunately, the way it is, if you don't do that and you just give it to the school, you may never get to the kids. So we go on Martin the Porridge Day, we go, and whatever donation we have, whether it's clothes, whether it's food, the kids give it to other kids and make sure that the kids have it in their hands. Whatever's left, then we'll give it to staff. But that is part of what we're trying to instill in them, to think of other people except apart from themselves. Because right now we are in a me society. Everybody's about me, 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 me. Sometimes some of the parents don't help because the parents have this competition type ideas. We don't believe in that. Because of that, Martin de Porres, there's no such thing as having our day. There's no our day. You don't celebrate birthdays. If you want to have a birthday party, have it at your house. Why? Because so many people come from families that cannot afford those things. And we have a small percentage of our population that are from very poor homes. They normally wouldn't get education. But we provide them with education. They pay something and then we supplement. Again, if this thing is just out there, everybody will come and tell you that they need it. So we are a little conservative when it comes to that, but we try to help as much as possible.
Talking about, being kind to each other, children to children, I wanted to discuss morality. So, Reverend, this will start with you. Sort of, it will go around. How, because these are formative years for the kids before they become adults. How are we sort of creating the kind of environment where there's more accommodation for each other? Because we come from different tribes, and sometimes we have all these preconceived notions. When adults are having these conversations, but in a school, you have all these tribes coming together in one environment. So I would like to start from Reverend and also talk to the founders. How did you sort of navigate around those challenges, and how are the children sort of continuing in that direction? So Reverend, I'll start with you.
Well, our motto is very simple. We are training children. And the word of God tells us that train up a child in a way he should go. And when he is old or when she is old, she will not depart from it. So morality forms an essential part of the training that we give to the children. We see, the school is more of a ministry. It's ministry in terms of the work that we are doing. We are training up children to be morally upright so that, when they go out and they meet the world will tell them a different thing. It will tell them a different thing. And I was so happy one day, a parent told me a story that I think they had to pay for a DSTV package. They paid for the package, but they got a higher package. And the parent was so happy that, yeah, we've got this thing free. And the son told him, Daddy, no, but that's wrong. And the father felt so ashamed that he thought he had, he got one over and he was getting it for free and it was a good thing. But the child just said to him, Daddy, this thing you are doing, you are stealing. And the father didn't even see it that way. But the child had processed this through obviously what he had, been taught that you don't do this. But in the world out there, oh, if you've got it, oh, yeah, this one is a oof. I mean, like, you managed to get something for free, which you are not entitled to. And so, in training up the children, we have to instill this sense of morality within them so that, when they are old, when they are in positions of power and influence, they will be, use the knowledge that they've gained in an equitable way. And that they will, integrity is major to everything. We know that there's a lot of integrity that is lacking in our society, but, we are the salt of the earth. We must, if nobody else is, if they don't have integrity, at least we must teach our children to have that integrity. That will help society. So it's very important. It is vital. If you are training a child without morality, what are you training? You are training them to be what? Clever thieves? What are you training? What is the training about? So when it comes to that, we take that it's the number one thing. It's the number one thing. Okay.
Well, I'll just say, I was watching Mrs. last year nodding and singing that piece of whatever what the verse you were saying. She said it right along, so we concur. Because she's always said it's a holistic education that the children are getting, and that it is not only training the body, it's training the mind as well.
My sister Naomi hit a couple of points that I want to emphasize. You're talking about vision and excellence. I remember way back when Mom was on this road. You remember she mentioned all those schools she collaborated with. And so she was being pursued for some of the schools. In those days, everything is in East Legon cantonments. The mom's thing was, well, why do all the good schools have to always be on that side? So she pioneered being in some place, having a good school other than that side of town. But look at what it has spurred. Dansuman became known as a hub of education. Okay, excellent education. Emphasize that. Now, the other day, I went to a graduation of a school on the other side. 96% of the kids are all leaving the country. And when you scratch further, but I went to look, some don't know any of the local languages. Some don't understand themselves and the culture. Their food is all foreign, okay? Remember Naomi said, we're training kids to be able to function in their country and also globally. They can function anywhere. And we've had instances where we've had students brought to us from outside the country. And the parents assume that the kids are superior to their age groups here. But that's not necessarily so when we test them, and they're always surprised. Okay, but Martin the Porous we don't take dollars, because it got out there that, because it's a good school, and because of the way that children are disciplined and all that, of course they take dollars. We've even been reported to the Minister of Education one time. Martin the Porous takes dollars. It's not so. Okay. So I'm saying this because we have to understand that there's one thing to be book long, but you have no sense of who you are, what you are, proud of your culture, proud of your teachers. Our teachers are Ghanaian teachers. We may have an occasional somebody else, but we don't assume that somehow to be better, we have to step out of who we are and what we are. So these children also grow up loving who they are, loving their culture, and also there's more likelihood they're going to invest in their own country and in their own culture. And when they go out, they'll go out proud to be Ghanaians out there and not feel like they have to leave their country, okay, behind. So it's talking about morality, all of that, and those, the words that you just went through. I would say that the group that Florence Japan, your wife, mentioned, is in that consortium of schools. It's a common vision and mission. And it's not necessarily paying the dollar schools, but these kids who do them comprehensive. They also see that the schools collaborate. Okay, so it's not, oh, it's Alpha Beta versus Martin de Porres or the other schools in that. So we share resources. I remember one of my first times here, the teachers were going on a workshop. I was talking to my brother about it. Oh, they're going to a workshop and they're Alpha Beta teachers there, some benefits, so there's that collaboration too amongst teachers. And also about schools. Sometimes a kid will come to Martin and Porus who think, well, because of the second circumstance, they might do better in the Alpha Beta arrangement. Then they will call. And vice versa. Hey, we can only do, so this person needs this, we don't have. Your school is just down the road. Can you take? And vice versa. But the kids also see that, and parents also see that. Okay, it's not just about taking tuition. Okay, but we're educating the child on what's best for them. So it's something unique to the dance human schools I want to emphasize is that all of it we look at overall. And that's part, I think, the long-lasting legacy is that our graduates come out not just with academic skills, but we also pay attention to their character, okay, and the environment that they go into.
Naomi or Mrs. Ajipon, would you like to comment? Are you online? Naomi? Okay, we'll come back to her. I wanted to ask you this general question. Do you believe in no child left behind? I am asking this because I want to go back to the video we're seeing in small businesses who are sort of helping that community and neighborhood. So as a school in Dansuman, if we have all these younger kids who are helping their mothers sort of sell food, how is your, CSR like? Do you have a quota for the communities that thrive within where you operate? Are you sort of working with these families to make sure that the kids who are within that neighborhood are going to school or having that access to education?
Well, that depends on, we don't go out and look for stuff like that. Normally they come to us. And I have a story of sitting in my office with a guest from the US. And this lady comes in, tears in her eyes with a little girl. And she was insisting on speaking to me. So then I asked, well, how can I help you? He said, we live up the street. Every time we pass by your school, my daughter goes, that is my school. She wants to come to school here. Sometimes on weekends, we rent the place for activities. She thinks that is the school children having fun. So she goes, that's my school. I want to go and join them. It could be a funeral. All that she sees is tents and people around and music. So she came to beg if she could just take the kid around just to look through the school. And maybe that would just satisfy her. And I said, Well, why do you just want her to look around? Why don't you bring her to school? Oh, we can't afford it. And she told me she had a kid at one of the other schools right there, just around the corner from us. And they're even having a hard time paying school fees. So they were thinking about taking her to a public school. So I said, well, you just came at the right time because we are interviewing kids for the next academic year. And the next day is the day of the interview. Why don't you bring your daughter back? Let her take the test and we'll see what happens. Oh, I can't afford it. I said, okay, this is the money for the registration. Go register her and bring her back. She came back, kid did extremely well. So we decided to take the child, knowing very well she had told us she couldn't pay. Well, weeks later, the gentleman that was sitting in my office, he happened to be doing a project from Yale University in the central region. And he had heard of Marty de Porres, and the aunt is a Roman nun, and her patron is Marty de Porres. That's why he came to the school. That's why he was sitting in my office. We are talking about that. And this is how God works. See? So he called, when he was leaving, I'd given him t-shirts and a few of our school stuff to go give to the aunt. That this is from Marty de Porres, Ghana, West Africa, you know. And the aunt was so excited to get this. Well, another year after that, he calls me up and he goes, I have good news and bad news. I said, what is it? He said, my aunt died. I said, oh, that's too bad. I mean, you know. So the good news is she wanted to be buried. We have Marty de Porres shirt, Marty de Porres cap, and the badge. So then the parents, their siblings, wanted to know, what is this about this school? So the school is in Africa, such and such and such. So she had $1,000 in her account. As a nun, they don't really have much money. So the school, their siblings decided that $1,000 should come to the school because that's what will make her happy. So then his question was, that little girl that I saw a year ago, did she ever come to school? I said, yes, she's in school and she's doing very well. He says, can this help with the school fees? I said, of course. So the money that came actually went to pay school fees for her. And from time to time, even if it is just $500 or $100 or whatever, he sends. The girl now started in class 1. She's now in JHS 2. Still a very good student. Now that's somebody that we would have just fallen by the roadside. And we have several other stories like that throughout the school. But most of their schoolmates and even our staff wouldn't know because it's not for them to know. Once you do that, then they pick, you know, so yes, we do have students like that in the school that they would never ever know, but the students know who they are and they know what they're getting. That's what society is about.
Thank you. That sense of community is really important. I would say my last but one question. I want to talk to the founders. I want to know through your eyes, how are your children doing? You started this journey and you've handed over to them. Luckily, by God's grace, you're still up and about, healthy, thriving. But how are they doing? Did you envision this would happen?
This is a report card. Now, I'll preface it by saying, when we were all in primary school, she was our third grade teacher at St. Teresa's. So you can imagine. Now we're getting another report card.
I would say that St. Martin de Porres School is very fortunate. And I also feel that I personally very fortunate too. Well, as I've already mentioned, I'm not at administrative part of the school. I'm not part of administrative. He is running the school. But I can tell you that when he came and he was put, he was given the the power to run the school. He actually hit the ground running. The moment he was given that authority to do that, he started the very first month changing things. He gave the school the whole facelift. Within 6 months, the whole place is changed for the better. It was so amazing. And the teachers, both teachers, the students, the parents, they were all admiring it and they were talking about that. Another thing that also I feel that he did very well and he's still doing it is you find him very affable. He will be nice and joke, etc. Being free, he tries to be as free as possible. I mean, sometimes I feel that he goes, yeah. But I tell you, when you are not doing your work very well, he will warn you. Then it's the next step, you find yourself out. So everybody knows what to do. And you know that when you don't do it, you are in. So he has stepped up the discipline of the school. And then we know school environment counts a lot. Education. When the environment is bad, it has bad effect on the school. And as we've been saying, the children are there not only for academic work, but everything else, holistic. So if they don't appreciate quality things, they don't even know what quality things are. That's how they are going to go out with. They've got the knowledge, but they are not disciplined. They don't like discipline. They don't even appreciate value. They have no idea about values. Since the child is holistically educated, it's completely part of her or him, and it stays with him throughout. It's part of his life until he dies. So I would say that he's done a really very good job. Yeah, and the whole the whole family, we do you also agree with what I'm saying? Because well, can I say something?
Yes.
Yes.
But one of the things you said is we indirectly also discovered that although he wasn't trained to be a teacher, it turns out that his people skills and skills in management was really what was important. And he can link that with the academic process. And we're glad that the youngest of all of us is, as we say in America, repping for the rest of us.
For that, I'll buy you all ice cream.
Can I say something here?
Yeah.
First, I'll say thank you to my brother because yes, he's done wonderfully well, wonderfully well. That I have that confidence that the children that are going through Martin de Forest can easily fit into any school around the world. And
Mm.
this echoes what my mom was trying to put out there, to train the child to fit the world, not train the child to pass a test. Because a few times you come across people that are so much into making sure that the child goes to a school that will pass the test to go to America, they pass this thing to go here, to go there. And then the children get there, and I've seen quite a bit in New York, and they can't fit because they weren't trained to think. They weren't trained to assess themselves. Now, like Martin DePorres, I've also seen it in Alpha Beta because my son started Alpha Beta. I don't think you realize that. Okay.
That's when they had the nursery. Yes, and then they would go to Martin the Paris after.
My son went there for Martin DePorres before he came back to the US. And every time he asked me a question, my answer to him was the next question. So what do you think? You know, that was to assess his thinking process and to see if he's understanding whatever was going on around him. And one day I said to him, he had asked me a question, and I said to him, but why do you think it is so? And he says, oh, in Alpha Beta. And then after that, when I went to Martin DePorres. So then I realized that, okay, he had a good foundation. And he was trained to think through whatever he was talking about before he said anything. And that has brought him so far that now I am just relaxed. He's now an adult working and he's doing well. So with that, I say thank you to Alpha Beta. Thank you. Thank you to Martin DePorres, but also to let parents know, to let people know that we are trying to educate kids not to follow, not to look at what others are doing, but to be independent thinkers. One thing that I know, my sister talks about a lot, because I do, is mentoring. I mentor a school in Mankasim. I teach them from New York. Every morning, I teach them before I go to work. And when I came here last year, I realized that students that were coming from these private schools, somehow they would pass very well, but they were not given their first choice schools. And what I said was, well, so be it. When they get to the schools that they are sent to, they will thrive because they know how to learn.
Yes.
Yes, they know how to study. They know what they should be doing in order to thrive. It's not the school you go to, it's what is taught in that school. How are you taught to be independent thinkers? And that, Martin DePorres, I give you thumbs up.
Amen.
Yes.
I'm just adding that when you're answering the character and the moral question, there was a 2-3 year period where a lot of the major secondary schools, the school prefect or assistant school prefect, were Martin DePorres graduates. So it came to a point where we're talking about placement. Some of those schools now, when they see a Martin DePorres candidate, you'll get it. Okay, now some people thought somehow we're paying those schools to take the students, but really it is a track record of those who went before them that helps. And I'm sure it's the same thing with Alpha, Beta. As you see, we collaborate. Okay, so over time, I think some parents also, because we got some blowback from parents at some point. How come we're not paying here? No, we don't pay. They
Right.
speak for themselves, what they're doing, by their character, where even their own peers were voting for them to provide leadership going forward. Okay, all right.
You know, some parents are only interested in the academics. That's all that they are interested in. I'm paying you, teach my child to get the best grades. That's all I'm interested in for the next level. But when they come and they want that kind of thing, we say here, we don't do chew, pour, pass, and forget. Here, we are teaching your child holistically, right? And that is the way that we teach them is the way that they will come out. And you know, character first is part of the curriculum. Is part of the curriculum. And sometimes you get some funny conversations with parents, especially with the nursery, with the Montessori nursery. When they come and they see, it looks like they are playing with toys, and yeah. And one is a very famous man. He had a child in the school, and he came once and he saw the child, the children play. He said, what is all this? I mean, aren't you teaching them? Where's the chalk and the board? He said when he was at school, that's the way that he was taught. And that's the way that, and he became a medical doctor. He said, even when he was a medical doctor, some of the stuff he had to just chew and pour. He didn't understand. And I just said in my head, I'm happy you are not my doctor. Because that's the way that they are taught. And, we've had so many testimonies of those that have passed through Alpha Beta, various places, all over the world, all over the world. And like, share especially when they go out and they go to other institutions, they are the top or amongst the top because of, well, maybe it's the discipline, the way that they have been disciplined in learning and the way they have been disciplined morally is what, we are happy about that we turn out. And when it comes to the new changes that have been made by the next generation, that is Dr. Naomi, she started out with the Edinkranini Leadership Program. That's more than 10 years ago. And, the cohort that has come out of there is just simply amazing because, there's a lot of soft skills that you need in this 21st century. It's not just, the hard skills, it's the soft skills that you need to be able to navigate the system. And even now, with the advent of AI, it is scary. It is very, very scary, and so you have to be able to understand and navigate your way through. Otherwise, you'll be in a lot of trouble. So we try and give them as much help as we can so that when they get out there, the thing is that you are not just competing you can't be just a local champion now. You can't, no, it's worldwide now. You are competing with everybody else in the world. So, sometimes when we get the results, the IGCSE and A-level, we tell them that, look, this is the same exam your peers out there in the world are taking. So if you're coming out with A's, you know that, yeah, you can compete with them. and they come out and we have great results. And we are also very proud of our daughter Naomi, who has taken the whole thing to another different level. I don't know whether she's still there or
No, she's gone.
okay,
She's
so
gone.
you can okay,
But
you
I'm
can,
sure she would still love to hear because she can play back. So, what are the thoughts from the parents? How is she doing?
Hello?
yeah, we can
Hello,
hear you. So
Mrs. Ajapon, can you hear
carry on.
us?
Okay. Yes, I can. So what I'd like to add to what Reverend has said is that very often the alumni come back and thank us because when they go to schools abroad, it's as if they're head and tail above the rest because of the content of what we have put in them. Starting with character, we run a character first program in the school. It's part of the curriculum. And so we sow those seeds of character in them, good character. What does the Bible say about integrity? What does the Bible say about honesty? And we plant that inside them. And in addition to that, we realize that a lot of the soft skills that they learned as part of the leadership program has actually stood them in good stead in the schools that they go to. For example, public speaking, critical thinking, and all those things. And they come and tell us, if not for that, you know, and we're so proud of them, so very proud. And the parents also come with positive reports about what we learn in Alpha Beta. You see, the challenge is this. We are living in a world that is actually capable of spoiling our children in so many ways, not least of all the social media. But if they have a grounding in morality, you know, I think that's even more important than the high grades that people think they should be getting. Because if you're not standing on solid ground when you leave your home in Ghana and say you're going to America or you're going to UK or whatever to learn, you know what? Within 1-2 years, you will not recognize the child, your child that's coming back to you because they haven't got that foundation in character and morality. It is so important. And I think Erefua is doing a good job in that area, and the parents are happy. And I must say that a lot of things are happening in the world now. And it's not just enough to say, I'm going to school to get good grades, as Reverend said. School has to be more than that, far, far more than that. Otherwise, you lose your children, you know?
Thank you so much. Final thoughts. My question will be, what would be your advice to schools that are struggling or failing in this area? And also either an individual or a family who is looking to set up their own school. What would be your advice for something like that? Thank you.
It's a very interesting question. A lot of people start schools because they think schools make money.
Yes.
And, and it's so sad to see people from even GES that retire. The first thing they do is open a school because they think they're going to get money real quick. After about a year and a half to 2 years, then they come in, knock on my door. I want to sell my school. I said, why? Man, this thing here, something like that. You know, it takes too much money and you don't make anything. What you make is, I said, well, join the club.
Yes.
Most of these schools, if you see a school that has thrived for decades, it's not because they are making money.
No.
Because everything you make goes right back into the school. You would have staff that would count the kids and multiply by the school fees and say, well, we are not being paid enough.
Yeah.
And they are never happy. Meanwhile, when they leave and they go anywhere else, they tend to come back. Why? Because It's not about the money. So that's one thing. For those who want to start schools, you have to have the desire to make it a change. You have to have a love for the kids. You have to have an aim of what you want to do. All our schools, even all the Fed schools, our aims are not the same. But we still cooperate with each other because I know what my school's about and what I'm trying to achieve. I know what Alpha Beta is about, what they're trying to achieve. Jack and Jill, Morning Star. Everybody has their own style, but we still share ideas. And the ones that work for you, you take. The ones that don't work for you, you leave. But if you think that you're going to start a school and just bribe your way, go and pay for your kids to pass and all those other things, we don't do that. We don't do that. Right now, most of the private schools are struggling because of that. Some of them are very good schools, but because of our system now, we don't get first choice schools that we used to get just because you're a top-notch school, so they will intentionally give you a third or fourth choice. And I tell parents, don't worry about that, because wherever they go, they thrive. I would take my third or second or third level person against most schools' first level, and they will run circles around them. And when they go to secondary school, it shows. It shows. I had a kid 2 years ago. The parents came back and rained all kinds of insults on us because they paid all this money. The child got a third choice school. So they managed to get him into a first choice school. And I said, well, I'm sorry that you had to go and pay. I wish you hadn't. But I know what I have produced, and I know that your child will do well. They told me they're taking the rest of their kids out of the school. Following term, kids were still there. So I just happened to run across her on the compound. And I said, well, I thought oh man, I was coming to see you. I said, what is it? Man, my child, it's always first or second in this top-notch school. I said, yeah, I know. That's what I'm telling you. You know, I had somebody who took external exams, got a scholarship to go to US to go study. She couldn't even get into Holy Child here in Ghana. Couldn't get it. They gave her Burma Camp School, which was her fourth choice. Couldn't get anything here. She just happened to have taken the SAT, scored enough, went to the US and got a scholarship. This past year, she won the best math student in the school. Now, how come somebody like that couldn't even get into Holy Child? So so to answer your question, it's not that easy to start a school. And if you're a parent, do not believe the hype. Look at the history of the school. Look at where the old students are. That would tell you whether it's a good school or not. That's all I have to say about that.
And can I just add something, please? When people come to me to ask for advice about setting up a school, the first thing I ask them, are you suffering from high blood pressure? Do you have sugar problems? I name all the list of health issues. I said, if you have any one of those, please don't go into the school business. It is extremely stressful and you have to be in good health. And don't think you're going to make loads of money because you set up a school. I'm still trying to make money out of mine. So it has to be a labor of love. It's not about money. In fact, you probably make more selling rice and sugar rather than going into school business. So you have to talk to them about going into school, because like Mr. Last says, they multiply, like the teachers, multiply the number of students by the school fees. And they think that's how much we put in our pockets every term. If only it was so, it would be wonderful, but it's not. So there are lots of things you have to consider before deciding to do a school. It's stressful, very.
Yes, and to buttress that point about it being stressful, I had the same situation with a certain man. In fact, he used to sell school furniture and office furniture, and he was doing very well. And then he said his wife managed to convince him that let's start a school because, oh, school, there's money in it. There's money. So he went and built a beautiful school, POP ceilings, I mean, state-of-the-art furniture, and he started the school. About a year later, he came to me in the same vein. Master, I want to sell it, or will you buy it? I said, oh, why? He said, I'm getting wahala from the parents, from the students, from the teachers. It's too much. When I was selling my furniture, I didn't have any of that. I didn't have any. So my advice is that, look, if you don't have a passion, if you don't have a passion for it, don't even try.
Yeah.
You have to have the passion for children and for education. It's what you want to, this is what the gift that God has given you to impart into the children to also bring them up. It's never about the money, as some people think. It is possible to make money. I'm still looking for that way. Because like he said, what happens is like you make some, yes, you will make some money, but after 36 years, we are still building. And I'm sure after 51 years, they are still building. Still building. Because the passion is there to make the thing better or the best that you can at any one time. So the advice I would give to anybody that wants to start school business, check your reasons. Check your reason for doing it. If it's about your passion that you want to do it, then you can go for it.
Also advise this. Before you start the school or any business, go spend some time who's already in the business. There are a lot of people that are from the outside, everything looks rosy, no matter what, including school. But then they've never spent time really talking about it. You know, one thing that my brother here did in the beginning, I found out later because we became friends. So, you know, before, when we're looking at starting Alpha Beta, we came and we sat with your mother. Okay? A lot of the schools, that's what they did. But even students, they'll say, oh, I want to be a lawyer. Have you spent any time in a lawyer's office? No. Okay, so well, learn about what it is you want to do before you do it. Find some school where they're willing to really sit you down and walk through what they go through every day before you do it. Here's this gentleman who built a beautiful campus, and now all the components around the school now was on his head. But look at how much money he's already spent to build that structure. So I always say that from our experience, there are people who are richer than us, have built beautiful schools, only for schools to close or to try to sell it because they didn't really spend the time to do it. Okay, and it happens in any profession. When I started medical school, I remember the first day of gross anatomy, where we go do the dissections on the body. 3 of my classmates passed out at the door before they even came in. And I'm like, well, what do you think you are applying for? Okay. Well, you've taken all these exams, you've done all this. I just want to be a doctor. Have you spent time volunteering? And that's something that I recommend. Just as you tell your children to volunteer in things that they want to learn or think they want to study. And you find whether it's in it for you or not. In the same way in business, this lady with the tatale and beans. It may look so, you see how she's sitting there so comfortably.
Yes.
But she's not telling you that she's having to get up at 3 in the morning.
Yes.
Okay, to mix this and to mix that and then take the transportation. By the time, yeah, by the time you're out there buying it from at 7, she's been up for 4 hours already. Okay, because I used to say that about watching people. You know there's huge demand. How come 11, 12 o'clock when you finish, you say you're going home? My instinct was, then make more of it and spend all day. Right? But I got curious. I want to ask him, hey, to do this, we're up at 3. We're doing this. So by the time it's 7 o'clock, we've already spent 8 hours up already. So when we're done, we're done. We also want to go rest. So that's my advice to answer your question. Spend time with a couple of schools and see what it takes. What's involved in hiring the right teachers. Okay, when that big fees comes in September, realize that that's money for the semester. Okay, so and then in between, ECG, your rates will go up, your water will go up, but you can't go to the parents and say, guess what? ECG went up, so you know the tuition that you paid, you have to go up. They'll look at you like, well, it went up for him too, So that's my contribution to that conversation.
Thank you so much. Well, it's been enlightening, educational, inspiring. In fact, we really admire the bond between parents and children, not just as families, but as professionals, where the parents are really sort of grateful to see you take their vision to the next level. I want to say I am honored that you came today to have this conversation. It's important. I feel like we're losing a lot of family businesses, and it's great to see that there's still others in the system, Ghanaian owned businesses in the system that are still thriving, and we can learn from you, hear your stories. So though we're looking to sort of go in field or business, can also watch how you navigated around those challenges, visit you to get some insight and wisdom before they back on this. Mr. William Last, Mrs. Grace or Miss Grace Last, Mrs. Grace Adolfo. Yes, Dr. Grace Adolfo. Mrs. Florence Last, the original, I would say, Reverend Ejipong, Dr. Mina, right? Mina Last, and of course, Dr. Kweku Last. Mrs. Ajipon, we did not forget you, and Naomi. Thank you so much for
You're
coming, educating us, inspiring us, giving us insight. And I'm hoping that checking on you, because for GIMPA, it's beyond this art and culture exhibition. We want to know what's happening in 5 years from now, what the children are doing with the schools. So we'll be checking in, learning, continuing the conversation on legacy schools, and we hope we will meet again. So Reverend, I'm coming back to you since you called God to sort of join us in this conversation. It would be great if we thank him with a closing prayer. Reverend? Are there any questions from the audience? Yes, there was a lot of clapping, so I'm sure you have more to ask. Oh, yes, they have a lot to say, so.
My name is Daniel Egle Jr. And I wanted to ask, from everything that you said, it was really wonderful and inspiring. And as an individual as I am, I also like to establish something wonderful in Ghana. And I wanted to know, all of you have different inspirations and what really inspired you to establish the school. And I wanted to know your drive, sometimes the ups and downs, what really kept you going. It's not easy, but what kept you moving to, establish this thing now we are all benefiting from? I wanted to know.
So who would like to take this? Resilience, inspiration.
Well, no matter what you want to do in life, the first thing is to really have a love, a passion for it. If it is something that you really truly believe in, you stick to it no matter what. Okay. It's just like, well, let me diverse a little bit. You're a young boy, so let me go a different direction. If you meet a girl and you really want to take that girl out, you go through anything, including walking several miles just to go and see her. Wouldn't you do that? Yeah. I'll say, so why wouldn't you do that for business? Yeah. So whatever your dream is, whatever your heart is telling you to do, you owe it to yourself to find ways to make it happen. And 20 people will tell you you are crazy. 2 people might tell you, well, try hard. If you really believe in it, you go with those 2 people and you prove all those 20 people wrong.
Thank you. Any other person?
Okay. The word of God tells us something. In everything that you are doing, commit your ways unto the Lord. Like my wife Florence was saying, for us it was a walk of faith. And a lot of the things that we did was based on our faith. Otherwise, there's a number of people that we came from the UK with to also settle in Ghana. Oh, they ran away. Because it was a lot easier. Oh, at the end of every month, you're getting your money okay. I mean, no wahala. But in Ghana, you really, especially at that time.
Hand to mouth.
Oh, we've got it.
Hand to mouth, yeah.
Hand to mouth. It was literally a hand to mouth existence. And without that faith, it would have, we would have gone back a long time. Because there, I know you have a steady job every month, the money is coming in, and you're only using it to pay bills anyway. So what are you doing? So that's the number one thing. But then, once again, if it is something that you feel that, you have been called to do, you have to do the homework. You really have to do the homework. You can't just get up one day and say, oh, this is what I want to do. Find out about it. Go and talk to people that are in a business and then see whether you have the ability to be able to do what they are doing. Find out how they started.
You have to be prepared to make the sacrifices, because setting up any business comes with sacrifices. And it takes you a long time before you actually get settled, but you have to be prepared to go through the rough and the smooth. You'll get there, but you have to have that determination to succeed.
Yeah, okay, that's it for now.
Okay. My name is Stella, and I've been very inspired at the discussion here. From an entrepreneurial point of view, you were talking about some school owners coming to you wanting to sell their schools. Well, have you had any takeover or anything like, have you taken on a proposal like that?
No.
You want to take somebody's palaver. Your own, you haven't finished dealing with it.
That's exactly what I tell them. I said,
No,
if you're having headaches, why do you want to bring the headache to me?
no. Wait.
No, but actually,
No. This is what I call a typical abriwangwai. Once you have put your hand inside the old lady's soup, you have to eat it. You have to drink all. You can't. So I encouraged him, showed him a few things that he should be doing. And later he got to do it and he's doing well now.
school expansion, you have different campus. So taking over of a school and having another campus. And it's like setting up another Martin de Porres, but on another campus.
You mean a franchise type?
Yes, that's what's.
Okay. It's an idea.
Well, yes, we get a lot of that. In fact, I've been offered places at airport, Kumasi, Takrady. I mean, it's constantly. But what they forget is for me to take over those schools, I have to be able to come up with the financing. And I want to be realistic. And realistically, I cannot do that because even now, with what I'm working with, I struggle. So why do I want to go and start another thing? I have a friend who buys up schools. By the time he got to his fourth school, now he's having so much trouble that even the first school that was very successful is going down. Because sometimes people buy things just to impress others. I'm not there to impress. I'm there to give a service, and you should know what your limits are. We started the West Hill School. Mom had bought that land 20 years. The land just sat there till we were able to find a way to build the school. We built the school in 2019. School's doing very well. I have a plan for the future. I had phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And my plan was the first 2 years would prepare us for phase 2. When phase 2 came, COVID, in fact, right before the school started, COVID came. So that changed the plan. Well, we opened, and by God's grace, we've been able to move pretty quick. But when it came to phase 2, I had budgeted a certain amount of money, borrowed the money from a bank, and by the time we got to about 80% of the thing, prices 2 years ago went through the roof. It went up 3-4 times what it normally would take. So I had to stop. I'm still trying to finish that phase 2. And I'm now about 90% done. But again, thanks to God, the school is still running and running well. If you don't know that that problem is there, you come to the school, you say, oh man, everything looks so nice. You know, but that wasn't my my vision. My vision was much further down, you know, but you work with what you can work with. And don't let anybody talk you into getting into something that you know deep down inside you can't do. If you can't do it, don't put your hand in it, like the old lady soup.
So another
Thank
thing
you.
about schools is, like any other business, location is important. The mission, the target population. You know, we've had opportunities to make a SHS. Mom says, no, it's a different age group with different developmental needs, different from those that we're doing. It's a different target. Somebody on the outside only sees a school. Okay. But school also being a business, all those analyses, is it within the scope that we're comfortable with? Do we want to step out of it? Is it in the right location? What is socioeconomic group? Okay, so a school that is typical, and let's say down Suman, can we replicate the same thing in a village? No, it's a different population. Okay, so part of that discussion when it comes to sales schools, even if you have remote interests, you have to look and say, what are we doing? Does it even apply to where this particular place is going to be? What kind of demographics are there? All that before you even look at it. And even then you say, you know, as he's saying, you also have to look at what is it taking to run what I already have. And sometimes it's better to say, find somebody else to buy it who can concentrate on just that school and knows that community and knows that location and all those demographics that goes into it before you can just take it on.
Thank you. It answers your question. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. So on this note, Reverend, I'm coming back to you.
Okay, let's thank God for this wonderful session that we've had. Our Lord and our God, indeed, all praise and all glory and all honor belongs to you. We thank you for this meeting. We thank you for all the experiences that we have shared. We pray that even our speaking or our thoughts that we've had on various subjects shall be a blessing to somebody. We thank you for all those that are even in the education field. Father God, we are here as your servants to impart knowledge to your children. We pray for divine enablement to do that work and to do it diligently, to do it in a way that will bring you glory. We thank you for the organizers of this meeting. We pray your blessings upon them and that they may do more as they interrogate all the different aspects that they need to do to write our stories that may be a blessing to generations ahead. We say thank you, bless you, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Bye.
Bye.
We'll just stand behind this. Yes, please, we would arrange that. We'll bring that to the visit all of you with Natalie.
Grace brother Edison started adwuma no 1979 nti na mechi wa me yɛ say pancake no mechi no frying pan mu baako na mechi a me cause yes na efie ho ma no ebi ntem so say biani ye fine nti so we bia ye beto ati no me mami ene me na wo adwuma wo ye na news channel no sa ne ye no Adabaka Methodist School behind Cathedral Western Avenue the one year to be our person betubi no which ma betubi
your friend Harriet Hilda in cancer me mami na Auntie Grace Grace Catholic, Grace Special Catholic Adabaka. They say you both they are introducing online selling. If you are registered with both for Haptel and also business name Grace Special Catholic on Haptel and then match grapefruits on both ways. Number is 0558 307047 or 0277 187769. We say within the next 10 years, Catholic have a way to be on every menu for traditional dishes at all programs, weddings, and every ceremony. When they are talking about local dishes, the normal ones we see, they will be Catholic have a way as part of it.
Grace brother Edison started adwuma no 1979 nti na mechi wa me yɛ nti sɛ pancake no mechi no frying pan mu baako na mechi a nti me cause yes na efie ho ma no ebi ntem so sɛ aduane ye fine nti sɛ wo ye bia ye beto ati no me mami ene me na wo adwuma wo ye na news channel no sa ne ye no Adabaka Methodist School behind Cathedral Western Avenue the one year to be our person betubi no which ma betubi
your friend Harriet Hilda in cancer me mami na Auntie Grace Grace Catholic Grace Special Catholic Adabaka they say you Gold Food. They are introducing online selling. They are registered with Gold Food. And so business name, Progress Special Catalyst and Capital, and then match grapefruits on Postgres. Number is 0558 307047 or 0277 187769. We say within the next 10 years, especially have a way to be on every menu for traditional dishes at all programs, weddings, and every ceremony. When they are talking about local dishes, you know, the normal ones, they will totally have a way as part of it.
Me, Grace, brother, Edison, started Jumano 1979. Na mechi wa me yam say pancake no mechi no frying pan mu baako na mechi a me cause yes na if you home no ebi ntem say o say biani ye fine ti say we ye bia ye beto ati no me mama ene me na wo adwuma wo ye na news channel no.
Hey there, the GIMPA Art and Culture Exhibition theme Evolution of Dreams is running until October 31st at the Day Center, Tessenor. Visit us Monday to Saturday between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Don't forget to express your aspirations on our Wall of Dreams. Join us in celebrating the journeys of individuals, communities, and institutions through curated artworks and inspiring dialogues that will propel us towards social change. Mark your calendars for our upcoming thought-provoking panel discussions. We will honor legacy businesses that continue to impact our communities. Don't miss the chance to hear from renowned legacy school founders and their children as they share their captivating stories and insights on October 19th at 1 p.m. at the Day Center, Tessenor. Let's come together to celebrate the remarkable journeys of CDD, City Channel 1 TV, Day Center, and other visionary institutions as we discuss sustainability and collective futures on October 26th at 1 p.m. at the Day Center, Tessenor. A special thank you to the GIMPA Rector for launching the Evolution of Dreams, as well as the GIMPA Council, dedicated staff, and enthusiastic students for their unwavering support. We are deeply grateful to our key partners, CDD, City Channel 1 TV, Day Center, Lioness Communications, UNESCO, Miss Earth Foundation, Ghana Tourism Authority, and Tiamore Foundation, C and Apiako and Sean Abbey, Tenny Akona, Nana Asase, Miss Earth Ghana 2003 and 2024, including all our incredible panelists whose insights have enriched our journey. Thank you to our attendees for your support. We hope you enjoy the Sip and Paint session, the poetry workshop, and all the activities we've organized so far. Join us for our upcoming panel discussions as we continue to explore the evolution of dreams together. We look forward to welcoming you at the GIMPA Art and Culture Exhibition.
Me, Grace, brother, Edison, started Jumano 1979. Na mechi wa me yam say pancake no mechi no frying pan mu baako na mechi a me cause yes na if you home no ebi ntem so say biani ye fine ti say we bia ye beto ati no me mama ene me na wo adwuma wo ye na news channel no sa ye no Adamaka Methodist School behind Cathedral, Western Avenue. And 1 year to be our office of the Toby. It's my baby.
Your primary Harriet Hilda in cancer. Remember, I mean, Auntie Grace. Old Grace totally, Old Grace special totally will have a black. They say in your wall, Gold Food, they're introducing online selling. They are registered with Gold Food. And for when you were hotel and also business name, Old Grace Special Tatali on Capital, and then Match Grey Foods on both ways. Number is 0558 307047 or 0277 187769. Maybe within the next 10 years, Tata Lady have a boy on every menu for traditional dishes at all programs, weddings, and every ceremony. When they are talking about local dishes, it's not the normal ones you see. They will totally have a boy as part of it.
Hey there, the GIMPA Arts and Culture Exhibition themed Evolution of Dreams is running until October 31st at the Day Center,